those in.
Okay, so thank you all so much for coming. My name is Billy Perrier. I am a first grade teacher here at Elmira Elementary School, and I am in the final stages of completing my administrative licensure program through COSA, Concordia University. Today I'm going to share with you a project that I've been working on this year. It started at the beginning of the year and technically it ended in March. However, the work is still continuing. The title of my project is The Power of Professional Learning Communities and Literacy. So, a little bit about our school. Elmira Elementary School is a rural school that's part of Fern Ridge School District. There's 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. The information I'm going to share with you is from the ODE report card, and it was just posted, but it's from last year's data. So we have 285 students currently. 17% of students have disabilities. Our average class size is 22 and a half students. 31% of students are regular attenders. This number is low. I think that's due to COVID, and I'm expecting that it'll grow. 31% of students meet state testing standards in math. That's 5 below the state average. And 41% of students meet state testing standards in English language arts, which is 3 below the state average. And I'm going to talk more about those numbers soon. Some acronyms I'll be using: PLCs, Professional Learning Communities. That's just a way that teachers get together. We collaborate about student learning and we improve our instruction through collaboration. ELA is English Language Arts, Reading. So those are the 2 acronyms you're going to hear me use the most. There we go. So again, the title of my project is The Power of Professional Learning Communities and Literacy. The project itself was to lead the first grade PLC team in implementing ELA in our current PLC process while integrating our new curriculum. A little history about PLCs in Fern Ridge School District. We started them in 2018, and we decided to start with math. We were gonna jump to ELA within 2 years, however, COVID hit, so everything got pushed to the back burner. And that brings us to 2022, when we decided we were gonna go for it, implement ELA, and it just aligned nicely with also getting a new curriculum. So my goals in order to make this project happen were to guide my team in creating a scoping sequence, creating unit plans, common formative assessments, facilitating collaboration, and providing professional development, and engaging families. My team, sorry, my body is blocking some of this. My team is the first grade teachers at both Elmira and Veneta, and the EES staff as a whole. PLC leads at both Elmira and Veneta. There is a lead at each grade level, and we worked together quite a bit. And the title teacher has also been a big part of my team. I think it's really important to start with my why. When I first started this program last year, we had candidates come and speak to us, and they just continuously said, you need to be passionate about your project. It should be a passion project, think of it that way. And I have been teaching primary grades for 10 years now. I've taught kinder, 1st, and 2nd grade, and I am passionate about early literacy and students learning to read. So it's just always been really important to me, and I was eager to learn more. The second thing I'm really passionate about is collaboration. Some of the best professional development I've had is from watching master teachers teach and from listening to them talk about teaching. So I really believe in collaboration. Don't lose your spot. Ooh, the second part of my why is looking at Elmira Elementary SIP plan, Continuous Improvement Plan. So one of their goals states to increase the percentage of 3rd through 5th grade students meeting Oregon's statewide assessment system proficiency in ELA by 3%. So like I shared on the last slide, we're currently at 41%, and the goal is to get to 44%. Of course, my students aren't taking that standardized test, but they will be. So I know how important it is to get them proficient in reading. The strategies that are stated in that SIP plan are to implement PLCs, implement reading in our PLCs. And you're gonna see it aligns perfectly with my project, create scope and sequence, common formative assessments, and research-based instructional practices. The second strategy they stated was to support staff in implementing our new curriculum. So my project really speaks to the heart of that work. Some research to support my project, early literacy. So research shows that if students are proficient by 3rd grade in reading, they have greater graduation rates, higher salaries, greater employment rates. Collaboration. John Hattie is an educational professor who's done an immense amount of research on what works to guide student achievement. And in 2021, he listed collective advocacy as his #1. So that just really speaks to the importance of collaboration. Another thing I wanted to speak about, and I am truly in the way, so I'm going to move, are the components of reading. So in order to be a reader, you need to have basic knowledge of phonics, comprehension, phonemic awareness, fluency, and vocabulary. In first grade, we really focus on phonics and phonemic awareness, and that's what creates a fluent reader. So you're going to hear me use the term fluency quite a bit. Okay, on to assessments. So I used both formative and summative assessments. Both of these were Easy CBM passage reading. We test students in multiple ways using Easy CBM: letter sounds, whole word reading, phonemic awareness, and fluency. Formative testing happened 4 times throughout the project, and summative happened 3 times in October, January, and March. It's important to note that typically we don't test students in fluency early on in the year. However, I use progress monitoring to do that so I could get my baseline information. Usually they're just not developmentally ready until about January. The team also used common formative assessment to measure for specific skills, which I thought was incredible. Collaboratively coming up with common formative assessment can be really challenging, and we got to that point and we created things and we used them, and that was really awesome. The data was tracked by myself and was used to guide instruction. The summative data was also collected by myself and assessed the SMART goal. Okay, so data. So this is the EES data. I did choose to only track our data because it's really challenging to track 2 different schools that could potentially be doing 2 different things. So I did just track ours. The baseline data, this is a lot of words, but I'm just gonna go for it. 23% of students were low risk, reading 7 words per minute. That puts them at about the 50th percentile. 29% of students are some risk, reading between 5 to 6 words per minute. And 48% of students were high risk, reading 4 or less words per minute. And this is the SMART goal that I wrote at the beginning of my project. So by March 24th, at least 85% of students would be low risk, reading 40 words correct per minute. 25% of students will be at some risk, reading at least 35 words per minute, and 10% or fewer would be at high risk, reading 30 words per minute. So it's really important to note that jump. You'll notice they're expected to read 7 words per minute at the beginning of the school year, and then jump to 40 words per minute, which is a pretty hefty jump when it comes to reading fluency. Which leads me to the data, the summative data. So this is a graph showing the data, and the blue is low risk, some risk is this orange color, and green is my high risk. We've got October, January, and March. I definitely did not reach my SMART goal. However, I learned a lot, so I will be sharing that with you. We had 27% at low risk, and my goal was 65. We had 10% at some risk, and my goal was 25, and we had 55% at high risk, and my goal was 10%. So, as I reflected on this data, I realized that as the project manager, I forgot something really important, which was that a lot of the magic happens towards the end of the year, especially in first grade. So I definitely had very high expectations, and I am confident that we can still meet this goal. I am going to be keeping track, and I am going to see if I can meet this goal, because my first grade heart knows that a lot of the magic happens the last 2.5 months of first grade. And I just didn't take that into account when I wrote my SMART goal. When I'm looking at this data, I definitely have some highlights. So a highlight is that my high risk started going down between January and March, and I think that trend will continue. And my low risk increased. So although the goal wasn't met, I think there's still time. And in order to show you that, I knew you wouldn't be able to see this. I created some trend lines. So these trend lines show that my some risk is actually going down and my low risk is going up. So I think those some risk kids are shrinking and they're moving into that low risk group. And I do believe that that progress will continue. So reflecting on the entire project, the strengths, and one of the most important things to me was an increased collaboration between Elmira and Veneta teachers. It is not easy to have collaboration between two schools that are far apart, well, not far, but distance. So I started implementing an organization system where we checked in weekly using a Google Doc. We tracked what lessons we were on, what we were going to be talking about our next PLC meetings, and I think that was really successful. I know that a lot of the other grades are using that same document now. And we were just able to have some really amazing conversations about reading and about our curriculum. So we also gained a deeper knowledge of the ELA curriculum. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I know that working collaboratively, we are finding what works, and that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in groups to figure out what we can use in our curriculum to make students successful at reading. There was also a lot of really great engagement with families. So I did a monthly teacher tip where we talked about early literacy, and I gave them some tips on reading at home. And we had a really fun reading and family art night that was really beneficial for the students and the families to learn more about early literacy and also do some art. Also, I had a lot of opportunities to provide professional development. So I was part of the Rural Oregon PLC professional development. We had 2 this year, and I was able to go to those and then come back and talk to my PLC team about it. And I was also able to provide professional development to the high school teachers as they were implementing PLCs, and that was a really amazing experience. Some challenges. So the Rural Oregon Schools PLC professional development was actually canceled kind of midway through. We did get our 2 trainings in, but we did not get the next 2. We did, however, collaborate together in groups, and we reached out to some districts and found some resources through them. So I think there was still a lot of professional development that happened. There's also just a lack of time, and that is something that educators struggle with, will continue struggling with, but there's just never enough time to collaborate. And the final thing is just a continued need for professional development regarding the new curriculum. I know that we're all still working really hard to find the resources we need within the curriculum, and I think that work is going to continue. And my appreciations. So big thank you. Jennifer Holiski is my COSA supervisor. She's amazing. The first grade team, incredible. So much love, so much support. Roka has been so supportive. Lots of reflective conversations, keeps me going. And the entire EAS staff who's always there for me. And all of you guys, because you came. And then the next slide has my resources in case you ever want to just peruse. So thank you.